What's up, Luca Nation? Hope you guys stay tuned for the entire episode. But just in case you happen to hit play on this and you're running up against a time crunch to get those plays in, guys, this is a fun one today. So make sure you listen. But I wanted to give you guys a rundown of the picks just so that you had them right here up in front in an intro. We have Washington plus 3.5. We have the Texans plus 4. We have the Packers minus 14. We have the Giants plus 4. We have the Bucks minus 6. We have the Raiders minus 3.5. And we like the over 51 in that game as well. We have the Cardinals minus 2.5. The Dolphins minus 1.5. The Steelers minus 7. We have the Seahawks getting 2.5 points. We have the Saints minus 9.5 and the Ravens minus 7. Enjoy, guys, and please stay tuned for the full analysis. Happy Sunday. Happy betting. We hope you guys all do well on this one. There he is. I was just
Frank the Tank. Frank the Tank. Frank the Tank.
I like that.
It feels so good. It feels so good once it hits the lips.
At least you've seen Old School. So
I love
Old School,
man. But Luca Nation, what you guys have to know is, Cage lives in Long Island, near Hofstra, actually.
That's true.
And he had a frat move in next door. And him and the lady, him and the missus, they were having the long night last night. A little bit of drinking, a little bit of Trae Young sobers on the market. Now that's
how many movies is that the premise? A couple that has moved beyond that stage in their life, has a fraternity or a sorority moved in next door. Isn't that also Neighbors with what's his name?
That's right.
And then they did Zac Efron, wasn't that right? Is that
yep.
And then they did sorority moved in the second one, right? I memean, I guess it's the premise of a lot of stuff.
Partying, drinking, and doing dumb shit. I'm a simple guy. That's really all I do. I just rewatch those movies. Superbad, Old School, Neighbors, etc., etc. But Luca Nation, in respect for your time, to get a little amazing Sunday morning.
We have to get a little mafia into your rotation, man. You got Goodfellas in there. Get a little Godfather in there. You got to throw a little bit of that in there. Yeah.
Rule number 1 about watching mafia movies is you don't talk about watching mafia movies.
Okay, all right.
Why would I give away all my best information after watching those mafia movies?
Oh, wow. All right.
People are going to see my moves from a mile away.
All right. See, so I get it now. Everything is falling in line. Everything is making sense. Everything's making sense. By the way, to those of you out there who have not seen our most recent reel with my Joe Biden card picks that are out there, you should check out some of the comments. a lot of emojis being used. It's an interesting world we live in, folks.
I hope people what we've started here couldn't have come at a better time in my life personally, and I hope you guys realize, for us, this is just for us, or just even for me, I only like to speak for myself, it's humor, it's enjoyment, it's levity. It's in a world of conflict and disagreement. We just want to laugh. We just want to have a good time. We want to make money. We want to make friends. We want to build a community. And hopefully we help some people, That's really what I'm here for, Cage.
You just started off a sentence, in a world. You're like the movie, in a world. I'm waiting for some crazy movie to start off, in a world.
Well, I've been waiting for 45 minutes for you, so I've had a lot of thoughts in my head. And
you got the crazy movie. Yeah, but you can't start a sentence off with "in a world" unless it's going to go lead into a movie. It's in a world where Spider-Man is forced to make NFL picks, and his nemesis gives him the wrong lines, and he says, "You don't have the wrong lines today. We are Venom."
Oh wow, you hit a different note there. So, Luca Nation, in respect for your time, we're going to get right into Sunday NFL plays. And there's two things I want to touch on. I'm going to hand over the mic to Mr. Cage Lawyer over there. This is an interesting week, Cage. It's
a great week.
This is really, this doesn't happen often. There's only 5 1:00 games, 6 4:00 games. How often does that happen?
It hasn't happened this year. It doesn't happen that often at all. And I wish I knew why. we've actually had more weeks this year where we've had only 2 or 3 4 o'clock games, and it's because of the we had a lot of Thursday games, we had multiple Monday night games, we had a bunch of cancellation games, and it's odd. Yeah, I mean, there's 5 1 o'clock games.
I'll tell you why. I'll give you a little theory. Just came to top of the dome. It's a week where bookmakers crush. That's why. They set these games where have you looked at the 1 o'clock games?
Yeah, I looked at all of them.
They're not easy. This is not an easy slate week. And I wanted to introduce something.
The lines
I wanted to introduce something
real
quick.
Yeah, please.
Is a skip button.
Okay.
In the NFL, realistically, and Cage is unique. I mean, Cage is he's a winner amongst winners. But even people like Cage, they need a skip button in the NFL because you can't be betting every single game and expecting to have a profitable season. So you don't have to use it, but here's your skip button. You're allowed to pass on spreads. And without further ado, Cage, it's your show. It's your segment. I'm just your sidekick here.
I like it, man. I ain't skipping on shit, though. We haven't skipped yet. It's week 10, and we're not going to skip any single lines. Now, I appreciate the sentiment, and the reason for that is what you're noting is, especially in the last couple of weeks, we have not been as good as we were in the first couple of weeks. And we're picking every single game. And listen, people do that. You want to bet games, go ahead and make flat bets like Andrew told you, but that's not a way to win. Your way to win is not betting every single game. That's a silly, silly thing to do. Find a game, find 2 games, find 3 games, 4 games, whatever it is, throw them in a parlay, tease them down, try to work the lines in your favor. And there are a couple games here. We'll get.
Cage is bringing you a 14 parlay to make up for all of those losses the last 3 weeks.
Well, most of the wins make up for all the losses, but
that's true. That's true.
And the entertainment value, which is really what this is all about. But yeah, I mean, look, there are lines here like that Ravens one, which is basically screaming out to tease, right? So we'll get to that when we get to that. But
I'm calling the Patriots win that game.
Nice. I like it. Okay, so
that's not my favorite play, but that line was stinky. That was a stinky piece of poop line.
A stinky piece of poop line. I like it.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I mean, listen, not every line can be a non-stinky piece of poop line for you. Do you hear this, folks?
I immediately retract my play on the Patriots. I do not trust Cam Newton.
By the way, this is the kind of gold you get from my co-host here. I like the Patriots there. That line was a stinky piece of poop. I immediately retract my statement on that.
I'll tell you something, Cage. I've been through weeks like this. This week, if you look at that board, I want to hear what you think, but to me, it looked like a stinky piece of poop line.
Right. Stop saying stinky piece of poop. So it's funny. Yes, every line is dead on balls accurate. Everyone that where I'm like, oh, this is a field goal game. It's 3.5. Every single one. Even my friends, the Raiders. Before I looked at this, I'm like, all right, I wonder if the Raiders are going to be favored today. I wonder if they're going to be favored. They're playing really well. They got a winning record. Denver hasn't looked that good, but historically, they do poorly against Denver. It's a divisional game. It'll be a field goal. I look at the spread and it's 3.5, and I'm like, it's like exactly where you wouldn't want the line to be, you know. And
when you see value, it's not with proven teams, right? So I don't like that. Sometimes there's value, but when the team with the value isn't proven or is it under sub 500 team, that makes it really scary to put your money there. But that we've talked about that. Football is such situational. You have to have guts betting some of these underdogs.
Yeah. Well, listen, let's start off with the first one of those, right? Because it's exactly that type of game. And we're going to hit this refrain probably a million times, right? So Washington and the Lions, right? So this spread right now is Lions minus 3.5, although it's been wavering 3.5, which is exactly, like we said, we're going to hit this every single time. That's like, if I were setting the line, that's exactly where I would set it, which when you're trying to pick games, that is the worst thing you could have happen, right? So if I'm going to say, oh, this is a field goal line, a 3.5 line, I would have loved to have seen the Lions minus 2. I would have loved to have seen, something like that where I could say, all right, well, I see the Lions covering that. Now at 3.5, I'm like, Do I see this game coming down to a field goal? Are these teams a field goal apart? Yes, right? And are these teams ones where I think the Lions win the game, but they don't run away with it? Yeah, because the Lions have been good. They've actually won a couple games, more recently, and but they haven't really beaten anyone and run away, right? So this
And
is
frankly, they don't have the weapons to run away. They have a 40-year-old Adrian Peterson. I mean, you could call it jogging away, maybe.
Right, and there's some storylines here, right? I mean, Adrian Peterson did play for the Redskins, and they let him go. Probably told him that his career was over. It was time to hang it up, get in a broadcast booth, or coach, or enjoy some golf. And he wants to show them, you should have hung on to me and let me run another season or two, because look what I can still do. On the Washington side of the ball, you have Alex Smith starting at quarterback for these guys, which it's great that he came back. He's a nice feel-good story, but do you really think that he's the way to go? So here's the thing: it's exactly what you just said on this one, right? It is sometimes you have to trust those dogs, and I don't think the Lions are a team that's going to beat most teams by more than a field goal. So I'm going to go Washington plus 3.5. Just because I like the amount of points being given. I don't think Washington's a great team. I don't think Washington's a good team, but I think Washington has enough to stay close to the Lions and maybe surprise.
I didn't even put any money on that, but as you were saying that, because I agree with you, but it's so it takes balls, it takes cojones to put your money behind that team. Let's keep rocking. I'm with you though. That's, in my opinion, the right side. And a beautiful line also to tease 6.5 points.
A lot of these are exactly that, and they're great lines to tease, because normally I will tell you that when you have the right line, when you're sitting there and you're going, oh wow, I don't know which side to be at, those are good games to tease. So the next one, right?
Yes,
the
sir.
Again, an underdog being brave here. I love the Browns. I've talked about the Browns. I've said the Browns are a great team. You name it. And even with as many wins as they have, and as they've done well this year, I would say that they have not yet played the way that they've been expected to play. They've won some games. They have a winning record. Now the other side of this game, the Texans. You want to talk about a team that's underperforming, right? They've had horrible coaching for years. You could say they've underperformed for years, right? Romeo Cannell, little improvement. The difficult part here, I think Nick Chubb is coming back on Cleveland. But again, this I could almost read you the same analysis that I gave you for the Washington game on this one, right? This is one where the Browns could win, but I don't see them running away. I don't see them, being that much better than the Texans. And I could also see the Texans surprising. I see Deshaun Watson is the best player on the field for either team. So I'm going to ride with Deshaun Watson and the points and go Texans +4 here. And, I don't love doing that, starting off with a whole bunch of underdogs, but hey, sometimes you have to do it. Sometimes you have to ride those underdogs, but you don't think the teams are that far apart.
Frankly, I think long-term underdogs are probably the way to win in the NFL, because Joe Schmo is on the favorites nonstop, typically, especially ugly underdogs they've showed to be a profitable strategy historically. So,
well, next in the 1:00 games is one of your favorites, because we get to say the phrase backdoor cover. So this is the Packers.
Supposed to be windy. It's supposed to be windy. I don't know if that's going to play into your. And who is it? Ludwig Mozart is the quarterback for the Jags. Ludwig, what's his name?
Jake Luton. Ludwig Mozart. I love it.
Jake Hakalugi Luton.
Lovely Ludwig. That's Clockwork Orange there, my friend. So I mean, listen, it's screaming backdoor cover, right? And the spread was at 13.5. Now it's a full 14. So we're gonna put it in there 14, just because that's the hated one. It's so funny too, because this should just tell you how much of a homer I am, and just how your own subjective heart and feelings play into these things. If Gardner Minshew was quarterbacking today, I would have picked the Jaguars. because that guy found a way to keep games close. It doesn't matter what the story is, but it's not. It's Mr. Luton, who was not that bad last week. I think he threw for 300 yards last week. I mean, he actually played pretty well.
He's a choker. He's okay. He's 6'6" as well.
Well, I know you like the tall. I know I like the tall men, but so here's the deal.
It's easier for them to make a transition, in my opinion, to the NFL for the first few games because, I mean, you could just throw over the offensive line. I think that's a big deal. You know, a lot of new quarterbacks that you'll see they're throwing in and they get their passes blocked down.
So you know what I've noticed about quarterbacks like Jake Luton and other quarterbacks, they oftentimes, when there's a surprise start like that, they have a good game to start off. Especially, like you said, tall quarterback who could just dump the ball over the line. Wow, look what's going on outside by you. Little rainbow over there.
See the rainbow?
Yeah, I talk about the tall men, and you bring out the rainbow in you. So I love it. So here's the deal, right? So it's very pretty, by the way. Certainly make me wish I was in Mexico presently.
You were invited.
I know. I'm the worst. So you know what Green Bay has that nobody had on Jake Luton last week? Green Bay this week has NFL game film on Jake Luton. Right? They have wind, they have a significantly superior offense, and they have the ability now to look at game film for a week and scheme for a rookie quarterback that's going to be dealing with the elements and dealing with, in his brain, having to try to match up against the Packers offense. I don't see it happening. And while my everything in me, the gambling side of me, everything in me is saying, take those points. There's going to be a backdoor cover. What I'm going to go with here for you guys today is that the Packers win this one in a blowout. I don't think I'm going to put my money on Mr. Luton today, and I think the Packers cover that 14 points. It's a lot of points.
Do you think the Packers, if you were setting this line, given how the Packers have performed this year, and the talent on that team, talent is important, right? You need talent to really blow teams out. Usually, where would you set this line if you were the book?
I'd set the line pretty much where it is.
Yeah.
I think,
to me, the real line for this should be a 9.5.
No, only because the Jaguars have just been that bad.
But the Packers are not that good, and their defense is very susceptible against. So
I think if you go back, and I could do this for you if you want, but I know we're trying to get the picks out to the folks.
Fine. Let me throw this out to you. What if Aaron Rodgers wasn't playing in this game? What's the line?
I know what you're trying to say. I think you're trying to say that the talent is Aaron Rodgers, and that he does not have more talent around him to justify those lines, and really that is what makes the lines, right? And I think if Aaron Rodgers was in the game, it's probably a touchdown spread.
When you get in trouble in school, and then like the teacher and the student have like a conference, and the student asks the teacher something, and the teacher avoids to answer that question because it knows the whole case gets thrown out. That's what you just did with that line. You didn't answer my question.
I did answer your question. If Aaron Rodgers wasn't there, it's a touchdown line. So Aaron Rodgers adds a touchdown. I said it was 6.5, 7.
Wow.
Yeah.
6.5.
Well, listen, because even without Rodgers, the Packers are a better team on all sides of the ball. They're a better team on offense. They're a better team on defense. And I think what's going to happen here is the Packers are going to take a lead and never look back, put the Jaguars in a bad situation where they're playing from behind with a quarterback that has one game under his belt and a defense that's able to scheme for him now. And why I think this line is where it is because you're counting on the Packers to blow a team out. And I think they're going to blow a team out. I think they're going to go out there and they're going to put a beating on the Jaguars, because the other thing you'll notice is teams that aren't the most talented. And the point you're getting at is it's Aaron Rodgers and a bunch of bums. And I get that. And after he beats the hell out of these teams that he's supposed to beat the hell out of, he's going to play games against the Bucks. He's going to play games against the Saints. He's going to get into the playoffs and he's going to get knocked out, because the team is overvalued. And that's what you're trying to say, because he doesn't have the talent around him. You can expose a team like that against a better team, or a team that has talent on multiple positions on the offense and the defense. But what I've noticed from the Packers is they blow out teams they're supposed to beat. And this is a team they're supposed to beat. This is one of the worst teams they'll play all year, if not the worst team they'll play all year. This is a game where the Packers, meaning Rodgers and his merry band of bums, can beat this Jaguar team by 30 points. So I get what you're saying.
The band of bums game, Packers minus 13. Is that where you have it at?
I have it at 14, right? I don't want to cheat. I don't want to cheat you out of a point here. I mean, I'm using the spreads you gave me.
I was sincerely asking.
I'd much rather make it 13 because it makes it easier for me. But no, 14 is the line. I mean, it started at 13.5, which again would be easier. But the lines you gave me are 14 points.
I'll tell you guys, in my 15 years, I have never teased a minus 14 down to a minus 7 or minus 7.5. Not a big fan of those teases, if you guys are wondering.
Okay. So let's go to your favorite game of the day. All right, your favorite game of the day.
Beagles versus the Giants?
Yes, the Beagles versus the Giants. Is that a fun one, right?
I predict a fumble that gets hit by 50,000 players, gets pushed into the end zone, then picked up and returned for 100 yards. I don't know which team's going to get that, but it's going to happen in this game.
That's
more NFC East than the Giants winning this game.
You know what? It's funny. It is, that line now, we've seen that in chats for like the last 3 weeks. The most NFC East thing has happened in this game, right? This is the most NFC East game, ever. I mean, you know what? I hate to do this again, right? Finally, we had one with the Packers line, where it was like, okay, this one. This is another game. It's a divisional game that should be a field goal, and yet the spread is 4. It's Eagles minus 4. And this is a game where I can see either team winning. I can make an argument for either team winning, and I don't see the Beagles, whatever you want to talk about. I don't see them pulling away. I don't see them blowing the Giants out. And you can make an argument that the Giants should have won the first matchup that they had. It's an amazing thing, right?
It really is amazing. I was thinking, has there ever been a season where 4 teams from the division all held leads in the division?
I don't know. That's a very good question. But here's a stat for you. You ready? Quarterback Daniel Jones has lost 16 straight games against all opponents not named Washington. If he didn't get to play the Washington football team, he'd be 0-16 in his last 16 games. That's pretty disgusting. Wow. And the problem there with Mr. Jones is turnovers. He's got 36 turnovers since the start of last season. Can you believe that? Jesus. 36 turnovers since the start of last season. The most in the NFL. And he has at least 1 in 20 of 22 career games played. That is not a recipe for quarterback success in the NFL, Mr. Jones and me.
It's crazy how important quarterback play is in the NFL. You literally can't build a franchise without an excellent quarterback.
I said 20 out of the last 22 games. But you know what? He doesn't have 1 in 8 consecutive games. His last 8 games.
He doesn't have 1 turnover in 8 games?
You know who does? No. He has 1 here and there. But he doesn't have the longest consecutive turnover streak active in the NFL, 8 straight games. Because that was a game a week. It is. Carson Wentz. That's his opponent today.
Dude, Carson Wentz has 12 touchdowns, 12 interceptions. He just
So yes, while Jones has been terrible, historically bad for a season and a half, and has 20 of his last 22 games turnovers, Wentz is coming in with the longest active streak of 8 straight games with a turnover.
And some of those are inexcusable. Inexcusable.
So Wentz is number 1 in the league with interceptions with 12, and right there in the top 3 with him is Mr. Jones and me. He's 3rd with 9 interceptions.
So you're using the skip card.
No, I'm saying go for the Giants.
You're going to put your money on this game?
Go for the Giants plus the 4. And the reason for that is either team can win. And the Eagles don't have what it takes, I think, to blow this team out. So there are 3 ways this game can go where where Giants plus 4 wins. The Giants lose close, the Giants win, or the Eagles win close. The only way you lose this one is that 1 out of 4 where the Eagles blow them out, and I don't see that happening.
I'll tell you the real win today, the real gift. If you're a married man or you have a significant other, take them out for a brunch, a nice mimosa maybe. Even get them a nice cheesecake or carrot cake. Do not touch these 1 o'clock games, and just come back for 4 p.m. It's a gift that the NFL gave you. Pass that on to your significant others. They're going to remember it because you're not going to get this for the rest of the year.
Here's the funny part, right? Because there's 2 ways to unpack that. Number one, we got 5 games, and I'm going to go 5-0 in these 5 games because they're impossible to pick.
Scrimmages. We have 5 scrimmages.
And number 2 is, on top of that, only a person who's never been married is going to give you the advice, hey, wake up bright and cheerful, you married man, on a Sunday morning, and the first thing you should think about is getting a mimosa for your wife. The married men out there,
that's not
I'd
the
love
case.
I'd love for you to comment when we post on this and tell Andrew how many of you woke up this morning thinking about getting a mimosa for your wife, and how many of you thought about getting a chainsaw for her.
Oh, you're insane.
So there we go.
Is that why you were waking up late today?
No, not at all. So Bucks and Panthers, that rounds off our 1 o'clock slate for the day, man. Here.
I'm saying in life, there's credits and deposits, right? Debits and credits. This is an opportunity to get on some good graces, some goodwill with the significant other and the misses without missing some amazing games.
Listen,
win.
I am with you. I'll be watching.
Honey, let's go to the mall and check out Louis Vuitton.
Oh God, yeah, let's do that.
I sold 7 Trey Silvers, and I want to give you half of the profits.
I did sell some Trey Silvers last night. Luca Nation, it's amazing. We talked about it yesterday. We had this debate yesterday, and excuse me. And
we'll get the missus some French toast. Why not?
Oh my God, you get French toast, bro. So we talked about, I defended Trey from the rooftops yesterday, and then I went out and I sold his cards, which it's just, I got to tell you guys, it didn't sit right with me for a minute last night because I felt like I defended him and then I went out and I sold him. I mean, it was just very odd. Did that mean that in my subconscious that Andrew got to me? His arguments about Trey were sitting there and I was going to, just the cosmos aligned sometimes. I think Andrew kind of pushed me to it too, because we were in a group chat and somebody came on and asked for Trey Silvers. And he's like, hey, I know Cage has some. I'm like, God damn it. You're leading me down a path here.
So there's 2 things there. I agree. I should get a broker's fee, and we'll talk about that offline.
You got
Second, I'm sorry that I just realized because when they're in the cards, it's unrealized profit. I realized your profit. You're welcome. Take your family to Disney World. Let's keep rocking.
I'm not going to Disney World for a long time, my friends. And yes, you talked about going out today. What are you doing? 1 o'clock today, I'll be watching these games at my brother's house with my niece and my nephew. And what happened? You got a seat in that one? I see the rolling paper out. What happened? You got a little seed when you got a little seed?
No. I was just thinking, which 1 o'clock game are you going to watch?
You bought some bad Mexican? You bought some bad Mexican stuff?
You bought some bad Mexican? No. I have a good guy.
All right, good. I mean, there's nothing worse than having to pull the seeds out of the stuff. I mean, spend a little more money for some better stuff.
I agree. When I was in Bali, I had to get some danky, not some good stuff.
Yeah, well, that's not good. It's not good. It's not good at all. So, yeah, my mother's birthday is tomorrow, so we're doing a little cake, a little birthday action at my brother's house today. So,
by the way, that's an interesting topic. Green stocks in America are through the roof this year. If you guys haven't looked at them, green energy and cannabis stocks are
all prospecting.
It's just the beginning. It's just the beginning. The U.S. economy might only hold on by the legalization of marijuana, because that's a big business right now. Let's keep rocking.
Oof, we'll talk about a tangent we can go on and really the green economy, the Green New Deal, let's call it.
Yes,
all right,
sir.
So here is the spread of all the spreads that I was looking forward to seeing the most, right? Because it's actually a pretty good game. But Mr. Brady is coming off possibly one of the most disgusting performances of his career. I mean, you talked about it at length, so I'm not going to really go into it, right? But how bad were the Bucks the last time they stepped on the field, right? It was one of those, I think you said that you just throw it away. I think you said, you know what, this is just one of those games where you take it and you throw it in the garbage and you move on, right? That game,
I'm not going to pretend to know schemes, but I did listen to this on a podcast and I wanted to share. they said that the Giants actually gave a blueprint how to beat that defense, and the Saints followed that blueprint last week. So I don't really get NFL schemes like I understand NBA, but I thought that was an interesting point because the Giants played the Bucs tight, really tight, 2 weeks ago. Then the Saints used the same kind of short. I don't know what the scheme is. Short passes, I'm assuming, to really just decimate that defense. Maybe there's some defensive issues there. I don't know.
Yeah, well, I mean, listen, it also comes down to what you were talking about with the Packers, and it's the weapons, right? It's do you have the people to execute that scheme? The Giants happen to be pretty well endowed with wide receivers. They have some very good wide receivers, not huge names. I mean, it's not Landry and OBJ, like the Browns had before OBJ got hurt. But they have.
But what about Curtis Samuel?
Yeah, I mean, so listen,
DJ Moore, Robbie
Panthers,
Anderson. These
Panthers,
guys are.
Look at you, man. You're picking up on my keys, right? So if that's really where it is, if that's really the story, then I think the Panthers can do that. Here's the difference, right? It comes down to offensive line. It comes down to being able to keep your quarterback clean. The Bucs, if you allow the Bucs defense to impose their will on you rather than putting them on roller skates, right? The Bucs defense is a blitzing defense. They are a pressure defense, and that's why a short passing game works against them. Do you remember when these two teams played each other already? We're talking about the Bucs and the Panthers here. They played in week 2. The Teddy Bridgewater show had not yet started, right? And Teddy Bridgewater is the tale of two quarterbacks, right? You keep him clean, you give him time, you let him operate, and he will be one of the better field general quarterbacks that are out there, right? He's able to move a team down the field. He's able to keep a team in the game, and he's one of those guys that's not going to make a lot of mistakes. But in week 2, the Bucs defense pressured the hell out of him. It was pressured 15 times, resulted in 5 sacks, and he threw 2 interceptions. And that Panthers offense was never able to get into any kind of a rhythm. And Teddy Bridgewater, that should be his nickname. They should call him, Teddy Rhythm instead of Teddy Ball Game. I think the exact same thing happens again here. I think that the Bucs need to get the taste of last week's debacle out of their mouths, and this is a game where I actually like the Bucs -6. It's a spread I see them covering pretty easily, just based on where we're coming from last week. I think they're gonna make Bridgewater make some mistakes here, and I think that. We talk about the NFL and some of these larger spreads and how it's difficult. Remember, the Chiefs were favored by 21, and we said it's not college. The NFL teams don't have any reason to run up the score, blah, blah, blah. Well, I mean, the Bucs were losing 28-0 or something like that at halftime last week. The Bucs need to go out there and put a hurting on somebody. They got to take out. They just got embarrassed. They need to go beat up their little brother. So that's
and Carolina's hasn't had their bye yet either, which you've brought up a few episodes ago, which is a pretty big deal, right? Teams are beat up. They haven't had a preseason. They're just
neither
waiting.
Of these teams have, but you're right. Yes. So I mean, this is like a mirror image. It's 6-3 against 3-6, right? Both of these teams have played all 9 weeks. But yeah, I think it's going to impact the Panthers a little more. They got McCaffrey back last week, and for as much as I would say that Davis was really good, and they found something else, and that McCaffrey, they need to keep Davis. And that McCaffrey looked great. I mean, you can't. So he's. I would almost say I disrespected the guy by saying that they should work Davis into the equation more because he did good while McCaffrey's out. McCaffrey just brings an entire different level to what their offense can do. But with that said, they're hitting the Bucs at the wrong time. You know what's weird about it, right? I think the spread would probably be 4.5 if the Bucs had won last week, which is weird to say, right? I mean. The fact that the Bucs are coming off of a loss, the spread is larger. But I think if you were to do an analysis of the headlines and the line stories and whatnot that are written about this game, or people who do picks analysis, you would see probably this is the game that gets the headline. Bucs look to get revenge against the lowly Panthers. That's the headline.
And think about the Bucs roster. Think about the Bucs roster. That's vets. Gronk, Brown, Brady, Godwin, Sue, Jason Pierre-Paul. Veterans are the ones that hate getting embarrassed. And on national TV, that definitely has a little something for the vets, in my opinion.
Oh yeah, So, the last couple of weeks for your 4 o'clock games here, the last couple of weeks, I've gone with my heart, and on the Raiders games, right? I've said, all right, I'm gonna pick the Raiders, and I like him. I think he's great. I think the Raiders are good. They're 5-3. As a Raider fan, this one here gave me more consternation than most
Wow.
games
I think this
because.
is the easiest game of the week.
Oh yeah, well then go ahead and tell me who we're gonna pick.
Well, if I just said that, think about who you think I would pick.
I think you're gonna pick the Raiders.
Easy.
Yeah.
10-point win.
So I you know what it is? Why this becomes emotional, right? Because the last couple weeks I did the analysis and I said, you know what? I'm gonna pick the Raiders if my analysis comes with the Raiders. And each time I was hesitant, and the Raiders they won. And again, I did the analysis on this one, and I said, all right, you know what? I think the Raiders are going to win this game, and I think they're going to cover this game. I think they are, but I have decades of historical knowledge about this matchup, and you should throw all that out because what happened between the Raiders and the Broncos in the 90s should not impact the spread and the outcome of today's game because some of the guys who are in the game weren't even alive when the games that are in my memory are being played out in my brain. But for whatever reason, historically, the Broncos have the Raiders number. And on top of that, these two teams, they always find a way to play very, very close games. They find a way to play close games. They find a way to play field goal games. They find a way to just keep those division games down to 3 points. It's just what happens. But with that in my brain and saying, all right, this is going to be a field goal game like every other time they play, there's just too much on the Raiders side of the equation on the pro and con list to not pick the Raiders -3.5 here. So I'm picking, just like you said, the Raiders -3.5. And let me tell you the biggest reason why, right? It's Derek Carr. And I've not been on the Derek Carr bandwagon. I've not been on the Derek Carr bandwagon. I always thought he was a midline NFL player. I don't think he's a star. I think in order for your team to win a Super Bowl, you need to have one of those couple of elite quarterbacks. You need to have an Aaron Rodgers. You need to have a Drew Brees. You need to have a Tom Brady, and he is just not that. And their defense is not good enough. Frankly, their defense is terrible to have a Trent Dilfer type run to the Super Bowl or have one of those quarterback field general Derek Carr types to do it. But he's got the third best touchdown interception ratio this season.
Yep.
He's thrown 16 touchdowns to 2 interceptions. I mean, he doesn't have enough touchdowns for me to compare him to Russell Wilson, but those are Russell Wilson type of ball control type of stuff, right? Flipping back over, almost everybody has run the hell out of the ball against the Raiders. Almost everybody scores 2 rushing touchdowns. So you want a prediction? I mean, the Broncos are going to be able to score. They're going to have some rushing yards. They're going to score some rushing touchdowns. But this one here, there are so many cool little inner matchups, right? I remember the draft for this year, and the Raiders had the 12th pick and the Broncos had the 15th pick, and they were both looking for wide receivers. And the Raiders took Henry Ruggs. And everybody's like, wow, they should have taken Jerry Jeudy, his teammate. All the draft boards had Jerry Jeudy on there for Alabama. Everybody said he was the way to do. So there's that little inner matchup. What's gonna happen there? Is Jeudy gonna come out and have a great game? He's already doing great. He leads Denver with 484 yards and 30 receptions. I mean, you have all these little inner matchups here, right? But listen, this is one where all things being equal, I think the Raiders win this game. I think if you're looking for a fantasy thing, we haven't given you fantasy stuff. Jerry Jeudy is a great play here, right? Got some momentum. He scored more points last week than in his prior 3 games combined, and he goes to play against the Raiders defense that has allowed not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4 receivers to score more than 22 fantasy points so far this season. Judy's a nice fantasy play if you guys do that. Let's see, a betting nugget for you. The over is 7-1 in Vegas games this season. Tied with the New Orleans team for the highest over percentage this season. So if you're looking for a fun little, over under, and I don't want to misquote it, I had 50.5, but let me check because we've been talking for a little while here. So 51, it's now 51. If you're looking for a little sneaky overplay, this is one where I would not mind the over on it. All right,
I love it. I'll say there's a lot that goes into being a coach, but I think personality management, recruiting, inspiration, motivation. But I think if there's one thing that John Gruden does really well in his years of being in the film studio, is he understands X's and O's, in my opinion. He understands how to put players in positions to succeed and tell them, this is what I need you to do. These are the passes, Derek Carr, that I need you to make. Don't make any other passes, okay? And I think that's the reason his stats look good, right?
Yep. 100%.
Second, Drew Lock is auditioning for Starsky and Hutch number 2. So he's not a guy that I'm putting my money behind. He's exciting. He's fun. 2 minutes left in the game. They're down by 4 versus the Chargers. I think they're going to beat the Chargers. But other than that, the other 58 minutes of the game, he's a liability, frankly. So this to me is an easy game. And I just got the ultimate stamp of approval, the wave from Mr. Ian. So I know this is a good play.
Ian wants to show you something here because he has an idea for us. Ian has filled out. Go ahead, tell him.
For Wednesday, I have picks for the draft.
He filled out a mock draft.
Wow, let's do a little special segment.
He did who Minnesota's going to take. He's got Wiseman going to the Golden State Warriors, which pissed me off because I wanted him to go to the Hornets. But he's got a pick for every team here in the whole first round. Some of these guys I've never even heard of.
Let's
Nico
do
Mannion?
a special cage.
Nico
Mannion. I guess I got to look these guys up. This kid must have done some research. But yeah, we'll do a special draft episode leading up to it.
This guy, Kenyon Martin Jr.
Kenyon Martin Jr., yeah.
Nico Mannion's going to struggle, man. He's not that athletic. He's a white dude. He's just like 6'2".
He has him going late first round, Nico Mannion.
That's fair. Well, let's do that tomorrow because I don't think people even realize that the draft is on Wednesday. Free agency opens up this weekend, and you're going to start hearing rumors that, like, if you start hearing rumors from teams that are on the bubble that might make the finals, they make 1 or 2 moves, players are going to pop. DeMar DeRozan going to the Lakers, that's a huge pickup. That might push Anthony Davis on LeBron cards a little bit, right?
Every one of these is. I've heard Giannis going to every single team in the league. Rumors.
No, but DeMar DeRozan is a little bit more realistic. Like, that would be a good pickup for the Lakers.
Well, listen, we're going to hear with free agency opening up with the draft that there are trades usually made. There are trades in the draft. There are trades leading up to the draft. There are signings. There's all kinds of fun stuff. So it's going to be a fun week for NBA. But I don't want to do that because we got to do our picks and get these out there for you guys, right? So here's a really fun quarterback matchup. I don't know the last time you had the quarterbacks in teams combined for 200 rushing yards in a game, but you might see it today. You might see it. You have 2 of the best running quarterbacks in recent memory here, right? So you got the Bills. It's funny. If I told you coming into the year that you'd have the 7-2 Bills at the 5-3 Cardinals, you'd be like, no, you meant the Cardinals having the 7 wins and the Bills had the 5, right? Well, no, this is what it is, right? We have the Bills at the Cardinals, and listen, here's the biggest question, right? How are the Bills going to handle Kyler Murray's running, right? The Bills are averaging 4.6 yards per carry, and Murray is averaging 7.1, coming off of a 100-yard rushing game. And I think he picks up against Buffalo right where he left off. I think that the Cardinals, if you're Cliff Kingsbury, you feel like a smart guy for forcing the hand of the Cardinals organization to go out there and take Kyler Murray and let you build a team around him. But right now, at this point, you kind of got to say he is what he is, and let's really let him lean on his strong suit, which are his legs. You have to now stop the actual throwing of the ball in the beginning and make the appearance that you're going to throw, and just let this guy create. Let him do his stuff. Give him some more, ability to go off and run when he sees it, because that is where he's his most dynamic, and it's what the defenses can't scheme for. I know it's probably going to lead him to get injured, so I'm not investing in his cards heavily. Read Robert Griffin III. But here's my deal for this game, right? he has the weapons to throw. He has the legs. Buffalo is faced with a daunting task of, while their defense is great, who are they going to stop? Who are they going to focus on? Are they going to try to stop Murray from running, or are they going to try to stop DeAndre Hopkins, Larry Fitzgerald, and Christian Kirk in the passing game, right? I don't know how they're going to stop the whole thing. And while the Bills are good and they're 7-2, they beat up on a lowly AFC East, which is a division I think they're going to win. I know that our friend Bro Namath is going to be a happy man at the end of the day, because the Bills losing make his prediction that the Dolphins win their division all the more potential. Here's my pick. It's Cardinals -2.5. Ride with it. This one could potentially be your stone cold lock of the day. You know what? Let's make it. Cardinals -2.5 is one of Cage's stone cold locks of the day. I don't see the Bills keeping up with the Cardinals at the Cardinals. They're a different team at home.
Amazing. I have no opinion on this game. I think it's going to be exciting. I think it's going to be even more exciting if you have no money on it.
Listen, I like that. Normally I'm
not even
better.
And I'll touch on this. Yeah. Not even the over, even though that's how it looks.
Well, that's the thing, right?
When you have running quarterbacks, they're going to run the clock down.
I was just going to say that, right? It's 56 points or 50 and change. I mean, hold on. Let me see what we're at here, right? So, 55.5 points, right? So, again, I don't want to misquote by half a point on these things, but 55.5, 56 points. If you a gun to the head bet, I would bet the under on this, and I hate betting unders. Who the hell bets unders? Sitting there waiting for the clock to go out. But I don't think Buffalo is going to contribute their share of the points on this one.
I think it's going to be an exciting 23-20, 2017, 27-20 type of game, but super exciting, right? They're going to move the ball, but don't forget, moving the ball doesn't mean scoring touchdowns. It doesn't.
I'm with you. Moving the ball doesn't mean scoring touchdowns. And we go from running quarterback to one of the better quarterback matchups, right? So I love this year's football product, this year's football release.
Yep.
Because it is quarterback heavy, man. And we're going to talk about those Burrow versus Herbert, Burrow versus Tua. Yep. And here we have today, we have Tua, number 5 pick, against Justin Herbert, the number 6 pick. Another one of those potential rivalry games where the teams are saying, which one did I do? You got the Chargers at the Dolphins. And this one here, what's really interesting about it, right, is you have the Dolphins -1.5, right? The
Dolphins at -3.
Right. The Dolphins -1.5. The Dolphins are at home. The Dolphins are 5-3. The Chargers are on the road, coming east from the West Coast, and they're 2-6.
Yep.
So of all the spreads out there, this was the one that was like, why is this one 1.5?
It annoys me. Why did I say -3? It opened at -3. The Dolphins got most, if not all, of the money, and it moved to -1.5.
So tell me, why does that happen, old professional gambler? How does that happen? If all the money goes on the Dolphins, why does the spread move from -3 to -1.5? You would think the other way would happen.
You would. And here's the frustration about where I'm sitting right here. I want to remove the noise. So all of that stuff, sometimes it's smoke and mirrors, Cage, right? Sometimes it's just smoke and mirrors. Sometimes it's very real. It's hard to know when it is. To me, on paper, if you're just looking at this game, the Dolphins are the easy choice for a multitude of reasons. The number one being Anthony Lynn might be the top 3 or bottom 3 worst coaches. Justin Herbert, as much as he looks electric, finds a way to lose games. The Chargers find ways to lose games. So to me, it's a no-brainer. I think the Dolphins are going to win that division. Worf said that. Bro Namath has said that. I've been riding Tua. So I love the Dolphins. Absolutely love the Dolphins this week. But if you look at the line, man, the books are like, here's a discount. Take the Dolphins. Keep taking them. Keep giving us your money on the Dolphins. We love it.
What's weird about it
is the Sharps are putting money on the Chargers.
They are. But what's weird about it, at 1.5, I gotta say, I go with the Dolphins here for so many reasons. First of all, right, while you could say Herbert had a head start on this one, he's played 7 games and Tua's played 2. Tua already has a lead in wins. It's 2-0 against 1-6. And what you're saying here is 100% correct, right? this is a 1.5 point spread. It's as close to money line as you're going to get here, right? So you're just basically betting that the Dolphins are going to win. They're going to cover a 1.5 spread. The Chargers, all 6 of their losses this season have been one-score games, tied for the most such losses within a team's first 8 games in NFL history, which is just amazing. And what does that tell you? Just like you're saying, it means that they find a way to lose. They find a way to lose. And you bet that against Miami has covered in 4 consecutive games. They're 4-1 against the spread as a home favorite since the start of last year, and 15-5 against the spread since their Week 5 bye last season. That's the best mark in the league. So what that tells you is, and maybe I'm the mush here, right? Because I did not bet the Dolphins. I don't think I've picked the Dolphins any week this year. I have one of those fantasy irrational hatreds for the Dolphins. Basically, I don't know why. I just don't think the Dolphins are that good. But you know what? They've changed a bit. They've got Tua. And this is a week where I'm going to ride the Dolphins because I just like you said, the Chargers find a way to lose. And when a team has that mentality, they have that way to fall apart and lose games that they should win. Guess what? This is one of those things, man. It's gonna happen. Now,
you love it. You know how much I love mindset.
Yep.
I think mindset and mentality is number one, and I love that. Like if you keep finding ways to lose, it's not an accident. It's a habit, right?
Yep. It's who you are. It's not.
It's who you are.
It's the rule, right?
Frankly, it is who you are, and that's a really important nuance. And that's something I learned later in life. Is it's your identity. Things start to become your identity. It's how you start to view yourself. And that's a big thing. It's a big trend.
So from a fantasy perspective here, while we're picking the Dolphins, what you should know, since making his debut in Week 2, Justin Herbert ranks as the number 4 ranked fantasy quarterback on a per-game basis, 24.3 points. He's in the top 10 at the position in rushing yards, passing yards, and fantasy points per pass attempt. So if you happen to be a guy who didn't draft a great quarterback and you had Herbert, go ahead and start him. Just run with him for the rest of the year. He's one where, you're doing your daily fantasy league. Herbert's probably one where you could get, you can get at a discount this week because, his team hasn't been that good and his team's supposed to lose, but being from behind, you're gonna rack up those points. So Herbert's a sneaky little fantasy play for you if you're looking for somebody there. A fun game this week, and a spread where, while the Dolphins -1.5 and the Cards -2.5 were ones that I liked, this spread I was hoping came in at under a touchdown, and they put it right at a touchdown. It's the Bengals, the 2-5-1 Bengals at the 8-0 Steelers. 4:25 game, one of the afternoon games, right? And 7 points. I mean, it's just, we go back to the refrain we had in the beginning of those 1:00 games where this line is right on where I would predict it to be. Right? It's just, I mean, I'm gonna pick on this one the Steelers. I'm gonna pick the Steelers -7, and
you're not gonna use your pass.
No, you know what? If there was one I would consider it on, it would be this. Although, rather than pass, I would say this would be one of the legs of an Andrew tease. You basically tease this down to the Steelers money line, and you got the Steelers winning the game. I don't see the Bengals doing much to be able to win the game. Could they keep it closer than 7? Possibly. But I'm going to say here, Joe Burrow has looked good recently, but he has not faced a defense like this one. And, rookie quarterbacks, they find a way to do that. They find a way to fool you on a week-to-week basis. They'll play a team that's more on par with them. They'll play a team that's a little more weak in the secondary. They'll play a team that, they can exploit a little bit, and all of a sudden you think, wow, Joe Burrow is a quality quarterback. And you know what? He is, right? He is. But stat to know, try to give you stats to know when I can. The Steelers lead the NFL with 32 sacks and rank second in pass rush win rate, means their guys beat your guys. And the Bengals have allowed 28 sacks, tied for second most in the NFL. So when you have a matchup of the defense that has the most sacks against an offense that's given up almost the most sacks, and that offense ranks 27th in pass block win rate, which means their guys let the defense beat them more often than not. what it signals is a long day for Mr. Burrow. And I think the Steelers defense may score a touchdown themselves here. They've done it already this year. I think they may do it here, and I think that's going to add to their ability to cover that 7-point spread.
Let me add a little bit of flavor here.
Please,
this is how I rank the quarterbacks. Joe Burrow is the best. Joe Burrow is the best quarterback. Tua is the best game manager with the best team this year. Justin Herbert is the best slinger. Now, the Bengals are coming off a bye cage. The Steelers are sleepwalking. They've had a tough stretch, a tough run in their schedule. They won some really, really good games. And now they have this little bit of an easy stretch. Cowboys, Bengals back to back. And the Bengals are coming off a bye. Is this a game that you might see the Bengals jumping out to a 14-3 lead?
So it's possible. So let me throw some betting stats out there at you, right? And this was why, is it a pass game? Is it one that I'm my confidence level? I'm definitely not throwing down as a stone cold lock here, right? So fantasy wise, number one, Big Ben hasn't even gotten to 15 and a half, 16 fantasy points in his last 3 divisional games. This division is a fun one for betting, right? Over the past 10 seasons, which is not Joe Burrow and it's not now, but over the past 10 seasons, Cincinnati, who is basically the laughing stock of the NFL, even as a laughing stock, as a road underdog, which is what they are today, they're 31-16-2 against the spread, which if you go 31-16-2 against the spread, you're laughing all the way to the bank. But basically what that's telling you is when Cincinnati's a road dog, they don't get the respect that they're supposed to get. Everybody bets against them. They're 31-16-2 against the spread. That's the second best cover percentage in the NFL in the last 10 years. Underdogs are 15-6-2 against the spread in AFC North games since the start of last year. So while I'm picking the Steelers today, all of the sharp betting information would lead to that road dog actually doing some damage. So could it be that the Bengals run out to 14-3 lead? Sure. This is one of those games where the confidence level is not significantly high. I don't want to use the past. It's one where I would tell you to tease it down and give yourself the Steelers, basically a money line on it. But, I told you guys I'm going to pick every game today. So picking and just saying, where I think this one goes. I think the Steelers defense does enough to really get under a young quarterback's skin. I think we're going to see Burrow, and my bold prediction of the day here, as good as he is, as good of a game manager he is, as good of a quarterback as I think he's going to be, I think he has his worst game of his career today. I think he has the worst game of the season. I think he's going to be put on roller skates. I think he's going to look silly. I think he's going to have happy feet. I think he's going to make some mistakes. I can see him throw multiple interceptions. So that's why I go with the Steelers.
I think he gives the Steelers their first loss.
Wow, you're gonna come with a crazy money line pick on this one and say, that if you gotta put some money out there and you want to have a fun one riding, go with the Bengals today. I'm gonna give you a fun one: Steelers 28, Bengals 14.
I think Burrow is a top 5 quarterback in the NFL right now.
Wow. Okay.
He's a monster. Dude, no one's done more with less. Maybe other than Russell Wilson.
All right, I don't see monster.
You put Burrow on the Steelers.
Uh-huh.
You put Burrow on the Cowboys.
Remains to be seen what happens with those guys because
you put Burrow on the Cowboys.
The Cowboys is a different story. Different story.
Is that not an NFC Championship team right there?
Well, and yeah. I mean, I think Burrow is a significant step up to Ben DiNucci and Gail Godwin, whatever the hell the guy's name is, that's quarterbacking for him today. So, I mean,
okay, I love it. He avoids it. He didn't want to bring Dak back into it.
No, I mean, should it be Dak? I don't know that Burrow is better than Dak. The sample size is too low.
Size is too low.
All right, listen, we'll see, man. People thought the same thing about a lot of people. People thought Sam Darnold was going to save the Jets. People thought somebody went out there and picked Danny Dimes as a great thrower of the ball. I mean, there's a whole bunch of stuff. You cannot put someone in Canton after half a season. Let's see what happens.
I didn't say all that. Okay, let's keep rocking.
No, but listen, Big Ben is perfect for the Steelers. Is he better than Burrow right now at throwing the ball into a window? Probably not. But Big Ben, there might not be a more perfect Steelers quarterback created than that guy. He just drips Pittsburgh. You know what I mean? So I can't tell you that, man. There's something about team chemistry. There's something about fit there as well. Yep. And I don't know Burrow. I do know that Burrow, his LSU teammates, including some that are in the NFL, said that he was an asshole. Said they didn't get along with him. Burrow.
I don't care if he's an asshole.
Well, some teams.
He's a product of NFL of a coach. He's not a head coach, but he's a coach. And dude, his accuracy and his throws are off the charts. You can't teach accuracy.
That's true.
He has Drew Brees accuracy, but he could throw short passes over the middle. He has touch. He could throw the deep ball. He's not.
We'll see. Poised. We'll see. I like Burrow. I'm not saying anything bad about Burrow at all. I like Burrow. I do. This is not a good matchup for him today.
Not a good matchup.
We'll see.
I agree.
We'll see. But I mean, I think 28-14 Pittsburgh. That's if I'm giving you a prediction on it. So it's funny. You said who does more with less, possibly Russell Wilson. It's a great roll into our next game here, right? So
this is my game of the week.
Really? This is the pick for like game to watch or for game you think is an easy pick?
It feels very easy.
So this one here, right? I think you're right. I think Russell Wilson has done more with less here. But do you know what the spread is in this game? You got the Rams minus.
Russell Wilson,
go ahead.
2.5.
Yeah, you got the Rams minus 2.5 here, right? And really talk about the Seahawks being the tale of two teams here, right? So they have the top ranked offense in the league, right? They lead the NFL in scoring, averaging 34.3 points per game. But the Rams defense is actually pretty good, allowing only 19 points per game, second best in the league. This is an interesting thing here, right? I'm trying to think as a better and an analysis here what I would look at for a nice comparison to these. And sometimes you got to look at like common opponents, right? And while the Rams defense has looked good, the Seahawks offense is clearly going to be their best test. It's the best offense they faced since week 3 against the Bills, a team that also beat the Seahawks here, right? So here's the deal, right? Is Aaron Donald going to sack Russell Wilson 1 time, 2 times, or 3 times today? You know, over the course of a career, Donald has actually sacked Russell Wilson 12 times. So, stats to know. The Rams have allowed the fewest completions on throws 20-plus yards downfield this season, giving up only 5 on 23 attempts. The only team that has yet to allow a passing touchdown on one of those plays. You believe that? We talk about Russell Wilson being the moon ball thrower, right? Throwing the ball up 60 yards in the air so that it drops straight down into DK Metcalf's hands, right? Yeah, that's his thing. And yet the Rams have not allowed one of those. Russell Wilson has 7 of those this season. Something's got to give here, right? Something's got to give. So what's going on for fantasy, right? We talk about fantasy on this one. Over the past 2 seasons, Mr. Jared Goff averaging 331 passing yards in his 4 meetings with the Seahawks. And who has Seattle stopped right now so far this year? No one. They stopped no one, right? So a nice little sneaky quarterback fantasy play, Jared Goff. Week 9, last time around, was the 3rd time this season a quarterback scored more than 34 fantasy points against the Seahawks. It used to be in fantasy when I played that you started the defense who was playing the Jets. That was like the pencil in now, right? Whatever team's playing the Jets, put their defense in and start them as defense number 1 for the week. Well, whatever quarterback is playing against the Seattle Seahawks, that should be a penciled in. That's your QB1 for fantasy, right? What's amazing here is that this is going to be a close game, and the spread shows it. It is. I find it hard to say that Seattle is an underdog. That's gonna show you basically that this is Russell Wilson and nothing else. But since Russell Wilson came in the league, he's been an underdog quite a few times. He's been an underdog. I think my stats say 35 times. 23, 10, and 2 against the spread as an underdog. No one's been better in their career, and that stat alone is what's given me go with the Seahawks and the points. And I'm going to take the Seahawks taking this one. I think if I were on this, I'd be a Seahawks money line guy if you can get a fun little spread. Wow. Give me the 2.5 points.
Complete opposite side.
Nice.
Rams are off a bye.
We haven't had too many of those. So.
Rams are off a bye. Rams have 2 unbelievable – I don't want to say they're unbelievable running backs, but they have a really good running game. They could run all over teams. The Seahawks haven't stopped a single player, a single team, a single scheme. They haven't stopped anybody. And I think they're dealing with a lot of injuries. They were just in Buffalo. Now they have to fly cross country. They've been traveling a lot. I think a lot of signs point to a blowout game.
Nice. That's the only thing that I can't see happening here. I can see the Seahawks pulling off a big win. Their defense actually showing up because they've been abused by everybody and their mom, including, let's add you to the list now. I think the Seahawks show up. I think that if you're looking for a prediction for fun for today's game, I think the Seahawks defense shows up and surprises people. I think they have at least 4 sacks today. They're a blitz crazy team, and I think that they're actually going to get to Goff a couple times. I think Jamal Adams is going to have 1 or 2 sacks today coming in from the safety position. They're going to have to try something different because their passing defense is basically getting abused. I think they're going to have to try to rush the quarterback and try to take away some of his time.
Yeah. Pete Carroll is a defensive coach.
Yeah, so I mean, they have to switch something up today. I see the Seahawks could win this big. I think the Seahawks could win this close. I think the only way that the Rams win this is in a very close last team with the ball, come from behind type of win where, their offense is keeping up with the offense of Seahawks. And when those type of games come in, not that this is a huge spread, I go with the underdog. And that's really the whole analysis that I gave on this one, right? So 3 ways for Seattle to win this one, only 1 way for the Rams to win it. All right, so we'll see what happens on that one, right? I mean, it's not one I didn't pick as a stone cold lock for anybody. It's not one that the confidence level is high on, unlike the next one. Fun one, right? So, does this one scream potential trap game to me? The Saints looked like the best version of themselves last week. And is it fair? So we're talking now the Saints minus 9.5 against the 49ers. 49ers 4-5 at the Saints 6-2 at New Orleans, 9.5 point spread. So we talked about the last week's game for the Bucs, and we just said we're going to throw the game out. We're going to throw it away because it's just not what the team is. So should I also be throwing that game out for the Saints, Andrew? Should I be saying
no?
Should I be saying that the Saints are not as good as they were in that game? I don't think that's fair. I just think the Bucs just didn't show up.
No, the Saints are really good. They're really good on defense. The Saints are historically a team that gets better as the season goes on, and they're healthy now as well. So I don't think so.
So is this one of those? Is this one of those games? So I'm on the Saints here. I'm just tell you right from the front. I'm on the Saints here. But here's what the scary part is. You are the guy who has told me about how much you love backdoor covers, and it worries me about you. But besides that, you also want to tell me about trap games. You don't want to use that phrase, letdown games. Let's call it that, right? Is it one of those scenarios where the Saints could have a letdown game after beating the hell out of the Bucs and basically grabbing control of their division and home field advantage in the playoffs if they just do what they need to do going out? And is this a team they look past? It's the Niners. They're decimated by injuries. And you don't have to look much further than last year. Last year, 49ers won 48-46 in the Superdome in a game that they should not have been in. But they played them close. They played them in one of those games that the Saints looked past the Niners, and the Niners showed up and actually beat them in one of those crazy shootout type of games. You know what's fun about the Saints is I don't know how much more gas Drew Brees has in the tank. I don't know whether or not we're looking at his last season, if one more season, you name it. But this is one of those times where I rely on the leadership, the coach, the quarterback to say, you know what, they're going to go into this telling their team, this is ripe for a letdown game. Don't fall into the trap. This is one of those things where we have to watch out for it. Go out there and start off hot and make sure that we put this game under our belts and we wrap it up and we go crazy, right? There's a lot of things cutting against my pick for the Saints here. Since the start of last season, the Niners are 9-3 against the spread on the road. That's the 3rd best in the NFL. They're 6-1 against the spread as a road underdog, 2nd best in the NFL. Those sharps, those betting theirs they're telling you that this is one where you should be riding the Niners. Since week 5, though, the Niners are a bottom 10 defense in completion percentage, and Drew Brees has completed almost 80% of his passes in the last 3 games. I know what the stats say. I know what we got going on here. For some reason, I just see this game 37-20 with the Saints. I just see this is one where the Saints are covering double digits. They're covering double digits easy. And the Saints they're too good of a team. They're too much of a veteran team to fall victim to that, I don't want to call it a trap game, right? Letdown game.
I'm with you.
I'm
with you. I don't have much of an opinion on the game. I haven't had a good read on the Saints. And when you don't have a good read on a team and the other team is injured, so you have no read on them, it's really tough to know what's going to come of it. I like Kyle Shanahan as a coach. I don't know if that counts for anything.
Yeah, well, I mean, listen, this is just one of those games, right? It's another one. I mean, the line looks good. The Saints are coming off of a thrashing. The Niners are just beat up. They seem to have some exciting games, but it's just one where, I could see the Saints, gearing up, getting ready for the game and just say, guys, let's just put them away in the first half. Let's take their will, let's be up by three touchdowns, 4 touchdowns, and just, mail it in. I don't see that the Niners have what it takes to really run with the Saints in this one.
And I would say if there's a trap game, it's to me the Dolphins Chargers game is the trap game.
Yeah, okay. I mean, I see that. I mean, the records are what they are.
What I mean by that is the records are what they are. The Dolphins are at home, and they're basically a pick'em game. That's a trap game. If you're going to use the definition of a trap game, Chargers are 2-6, Dolphins are 5-3 at home, playing a lot better, and you're going to put a pick'em line. You're trying to trap.
And you've seen the money move from 3 to 1.5 in the opposite direction that we've been thinking about, right? I mean, so yeah,
sickening, literally sickening.
So I'll give something on the 8:00 game if you want. Just throw that one out there, right? It's a fun game, and this is one where, it's funny. You don't even know which way you want to go because we started today's episode off with you saying, "No way, I like the Patriots. Forget about the Ravens." And no, forget about it. I changed everything I just said because I don't trust Cam Newton. Which, by the way, that line, that little nugget you dropped there is a perfect microcosm for the week. Because none of these spreads are jumping out and saying, bet me. None of these spreads are like, wow, they got the line wrong there. Let me jump on it. But we're giving spreads, right? This one, I think, and because of what you said, I know you won't jump on it, but I think this one is right for a tease. You tease the, it's Ravens -7. You tease this down to just the Ravens having to win this game. I might pair it with the Saints. You tease them down to, basically a field goal. And you have the Saints have to win their game by a field goal. The Ravens just have to win their game. You get good lines on 2 of the best teams in the NFL, and that's your nice teaser. But
seeing what you've seen from Lamar this year, can you confidently say that the Ravens are one of the best teams?
Yes.
Seeing what you've seen from Lamar this year, not last year, this year.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I can because. You know what I see from Lamar this year, and from the team. I know you're saying Lamar, and I'm going to take it a little differently, right? What I see is what I see from Russell Wilson, and I know it's a totally different analysis. I'm not talking about their skill set or about how they play the game, and it's the ability to throw, you name it. Here's why I think the Ravens are still one of the elite teams, right? And I know I'm switching the question up on you a little bit. The Ravens score 30 points every game. Every single game. I think they have a streak for scoring 30 points basically every game since Lamar Jackson has taken over at quarterback, or 20 points, or whatever the hell.
I'll give you a break, but yeah, they're averaging 30. It's 30. Yeah. The last few was 24, 28, 30.
Well, I mean, I think I said 30, but I don't think they've scored less than. So I think I said 30. It should 20. I don't think
they haven't scored less than 24.
Yeah. So they scored. No, but I'm talking about. I don't think they've scored less than 20 ever with him at quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm pretty sure that there's a streak where they scored 20 points for every game where he's been quarterback. I mean, I guess you could check that if you want. But basically what that's telling me is that, like Russell Wilson, like Seattle, they put points up. They put up a lot of points. They have no problem putting points up. By the way, one of my friends just texted me as we're talking. It just popped up on my phone, and it says, delicious. That's the word, delicious. So people are listening, man. They like you. They like you. They like your delicious play. So you could say what you want. Is Lamar regressing from his MVP campaign last year? 100%. But it would be difficult for me to say he's not. You know how many Lamar Jackson cards I own? 0. None. I don't own a single one. And there's a reason for that. It's because, and it's the same reason that I don't own a single Kyler Murray card right now. Because that type of quarterback, that style of play is not one that leads to conversation of you being an all-time great quarterback. It leads you to being a bright, shining star, right? But the brightest shining stars are the ones that burn out the fastest. And that's what you get with that style of quarterback. Now, do they think Lamar Jackson's going to learn how to throw the ball better? Maybe. I have no idea. But ultimately, he's going to get a step slower and the NFL is going to catch up to him, or he's going to get hurt. It could be both, right? But that's longevity. That is, we're talking Lamar Jackson and/or Kyler Murray. None of that shit matters for today's pick. Here's what I'm not going to be willing to bet on. I'm not willing to bet that the Patriots can play their second straight turnover-free game against the Ravens defense. They did not do it, right? So the only way you get a Patriots upset here, which is what you had potentially up there, the only way you get a Patriots upset is that they play a clean game again like they played last week. The Patriots have a -1 turnover differential on the season, which is about middle of the league, and the Ravens are +4, which is tied for 6th in the league.
Cam has 2 passing touchdowns and 7 receptions, which is shocking.
But he's got a bunch of rushing touchdowns too, right?
He does.
But
he does.
I'll piggyback on your stat. The Patriots have failed to throw a passing touchdown in 4 straight games. A 5th straight game without a passing touchdown would be the second longest streak in their history. Amazing, right? Now, the franchise record of 6 straight games was set back in 1972, where it was a completely different game, the NFL. It was hand the ball to your running back and sweep right, hand the ball to your running back and sweep left. One target to watch for fantasy perspective, right, is wide receiver Jacoby Myers. I love it because it makes me think of a law firm, right? Jacoby and Myers. You've all seen those commercials, I think, right?
Mm-hmm.
He has career highs in receiving yards, 169, receptions 12, targets 14, and receiving first downs 8 in their win against the Jets on Monday. Has Cam Newton found some sort of a new relationship, some sort of a new something with Jacoby Myers? Who knows? What to know for fantasy? Jackson has scored over 40% of his fantasy points this season with his legs. Fun one, right? It's a fun one. Here's a little deal on this one. I just think that the Ravens defense is too much for Mr. Cam. I think that guy, when pressured, he makes more mistakes than good decisions. I make a prediction here, right? Baltimore has a 10-game road winning streak, and during that time, the Baltimore offense have averaged more points than anyone else away from home, over 32 points a game. New England gave up 37 points in their game last season against the Ravens, and their defense is already banged up, and they played on Monday night. So how many things do I have to throw in there to tell you to pick the Ravens covering this spread? This is one where I could see the Ravens scoring over 40 points for the first time this season. Take the Ravens -7, and if you got a little fantasy little prop bet on Newton over under 1.5 turnovers, bet the over. He will not help his team. He'll help the Ravens. My picks of the day. What do you got there?
I made a gift for Manny.
Oh, you made a gift for Manny Simone? You drew a Manny Simone jersey?
Amazing. So we'll wrap it here. We're going on an hour 15. We're going to add a little intro from Cage in the beginning in respect for time. Lucidation, there you guys have it. There's our analysis, which is really, I think, more valuable than the actual plays.
Guys, enjoy Sunday. And if you're thinking about your Sunday, think this. No matter what you're doing, whether it's yard work, whether it's washing your car, taking in the stuff from your backyard, taking down those Halloween decorations, you lazy bum, because they've been up for more than 2 weeks now and you're the lazy guy on the street that hasn't taken them down yet. No matter what you're doing today, you're having a better time than I am celebrating my mother's birthday at my brother's house. That's it, man. I'm not gonna be able to
It's
watch
Mama
these games.
Bear's birthday?
My mother's birthday is tomorrow, so I gotta go.
Brother.
Gotta go have
Congrats,
cake at my brother's house. Miserable.
Happy birthday from all of us at Luca Nation.
No.
No.
No, exactly. It's just no. Enjoy your day, guys. Enjoy Sunday because, following Sunday is Monday. Enjoy football because we're not going to be a football-dominated card pod or hobby for that much longer. Right now, football has the stage. So I hope today carries some attention for you. I hope there are some good games. I hope there's some exciting games. I hope you make some money betting. I hope you have some fun and buying your cards because it is soon going to be NBA all day, every day. This is going to be a fun NBA week, my friends. The NBA draft's coming up, and we will bring you an NBA draft episode.
Let me read one quick thing and then wrap.
Please.
Okay?
Yeah, go for it.
So the new moon. Today's a new moon, guys. The new moon rose in the early hours of November 15th, today, and will be in the constellation Scorpio. The new moon in Scorpio brings with it rejuvenated energy after a tough year all around. You will feel empowered and determined to make up for all the time which has been lost in 2020. Astrologers see a turning point in the year on November 15th, as you will feel invigorated by the new moon's presence.
Wow. I mean, I got to tell you, man. I got to tell you, I was not sure how my day was going to go today. And then you came in with that new moon stuff, and I'm ready to go and take on the world. I'm ready to go. I hope you listeners are as well, because New Moon happens to be one of Andrew's favorite movies. Andrew's a huge Twilight Saga fan, guys. He loves those werewolves and those vampires. He loves them. He's he's had a poster of Bella Swan on his wall for quite some time. Enjoy football games, guys.
Have you guys ever seen the Parks and Rec where they are doing the time capsule and the guy locks himself in the office because he wants to get all the Twilight books in the time capsule? That's all that came to mind for me. Parks and Rec is really good, man. All right, Luca Nation, love you guys. Happy birthday to Cage's mom and his whole family from all of us. We love you, Cage. You're the king.
Take care, guys. Thank you for spending some time with us on another episode of the Lucas, Tigers, and Bronze Oh My podcast. Do us a favor and like, subscribe. You know what? Don't just like and subscribe. Everybody does that. If you like us, tell your friends, tell your neighbors, tell your enemies, tell everybody. And we hope you got something from spending some time with us today, and we'll see you next time. Thank you.